So what if I told you that you could spot a liar in just 30 seconds?
I'd say that's a pretty provocative claim.
It is. It comes from a former FBI agent, Mark Bouton. He basically says the human body has this language, and if you can read it, deception is obvious.
And that's what we're digging into today. We're looking at Bouton's field techniques and stacking them up against the actual biology.
Yeah, what's really happening inside, we're talking about physiological leakage.
Right? Itchy noses, weird blinking patterns, all of it.
So our mission here is to explore these tactics, see how they hold up, and then, check them against modern forensic science.
Yep.
So where do we start? Why does the body betray us?
It all comes down to the autonomic nervous system, the ANS.
Okay.
When you tell a lie, a high-stakes one anyway, your brain flags that as a threat. It creates this internal conflict.
So even if you look totally calm on the outside, your body is, what, freaking out?
Precisely. It's the fight-or-flight response. Your system gets flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, and that kicks off physical symptoms you just can't control.
Which brings us to the Pinocchio effect.
Yes.
Now, I have to ask, does your nose actually grow?
No, not in a way you could see. But physiologically, it does swell.
How?
That rush of blood, it's called vasodilation, causes the tiny tissues inside your nose to expand. And that creates an itching sensation.
So if someone denies something and then immediately scratches their nose?
That is a massive tell, a classic one.
That's wild. What else should we be looking for?
Well, the stress response also shuts down non-essential functions like digestion. So your mouth gets dry.
Leading to, like, lip licking or a hard swallow.
Exactly. And then there are the eyes. Bouton talks about the blink cluster. A normal person might blink, every 10 seconds or so?
Something like that.
A liar might suddenly fire off 5 or 6 blinks, bam, bam, bam.
And when they do the opposite, right? They just close their eyes for a second.
That's called eye blocking. It's a subconscious way of trying to hide. But, and this is the most important rule of all, none of this means anything without a baseline.
The small talk phase.
You have to know how they act when they're not under pressure. If they're a fidgety person to begin with, then fidgeting doesn't tell you anything. You're hunting for a change in behavior.
Let's get into some of the more specific techniques. I've heard about this eye direction theory.
Oculasics, yeah. The theory goes, for a right-handed person, if they look up and to their left, they're accessing memory.
Oh, truth.
The truth. They look up and to their right, they're accessing the creative centers of their brain.
They're building the lie. And for left-handed people, it's just reversed.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
But you also have to listen to their words. Liars tend to use what's called verbal distancing.
They're trying to separate themselves from what they're saying.
Exactly. They drop pronouns. So instead of, I went to the store, it becomes, went to the store.
Or the famous Bill Clinton line, I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
That woman, perfect example. It creates space. And if you think you've caught someone, Bouton suggests the really technique.
You just stare at them.
You stare, maybe raise an eyebrow, say really, and then just quit. Wait, silence is a liar's worst enemy. They'll rush to fill it, often by changing their story.
So does this stuff actually, work in a real investigation?
There are famous cases. Take Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber. An agent noticed a tiny behavioral anomaly.
What was it?
He was seen checking on a truck door, but before he did, he looked over his shoulder.
Just looking over his shoulder. That's it.
In that context, yes. It wasn't normal. He was checking for surveillance. It signaled covert intent, and that little detail helped connect him to the case.
Incredible. But we have to be critical here. How scientific is all of this, really?
And that's where you have to be very, very careful. A lot of scientists are skeptical, mainly because of something called the Othello error.
Which is?
Mistaking the anxiety of a truthful person for the guilt of a liar.
Right. An innocent person being interrogated is also going to be terrified. Their heart will race. Their mouth will go dry.
You got it. And that eye direction thing, controlled studies just haven't been able to prove it works reliably.
So what's the modern thinking?
A lot of research now focuses on cognitive load. The idea is that lying is mentally exhausting. So instead of getting more animated, some liars actually freeze up. They become very still because their brain is working overtime.
So after all this, what's the big takeaway?
I think it's that there is no single foolproof lie detector sign. You can't just see a nose itch and yell liar. It's about looking for clusters of signals, and most importantly, deviations from that person's baseline.
It's the change that matters, not the behavior itself.
Exactly.
It really makes you think about your own life, doesn't it? How often might we misread someone, a friend or a family member, mistaking their nervousness for dishonesty, all because we just ignored who they are normally?
That's the real question. We tend to see what we're looking for, not always what's actually there.